Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Finance Series. We're your hosts, Josiah and Kelly Nagel. We'll be releasing a new episode every Tuesday and Thursday throughout January 2021. Welcome to episode 3 of the Finance Series. You ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. We got a big one here. Today's topic is about debt.
Debt.
We want to talk about debt because we think there's a lot of misconceptions in America, particularly about debt, how it works, whether or not it's needed, how to use debt, how to avoid debt, how to pay off debt, etc. So today we want to share our opinions about debt, how our personal finances, how we've structured them, and what we think about debt. Just because you don't do this doesn't mean you're necessarily wrong or doing something bad, but this is what we do and what works for us. And we think it would work for everyone. And that's why we want to share our opinion on this. Let's get started about some debt facts. According to a 2019 consumer debt survey by Experian, the total consumer debt in the U.S. was at $14.1 trillion.
Wow.
Which breaks down to on average, every American carrying about $90,460 of debt.
That's a pretty high
number. That's a decent amount. What are those different debt sources? There's one, revolving debt. That's retail credit cards, regular credit cards. Retailers are really good about pushing their credit cards because they offer very enticing perks, extra coupons.
Especially when you sign up for the first time.
Extra points back. The first time you sign up, you used to work at Old Navy, right? You had to push some credit cards as part of that job. What were some of the perks for a sign up?
That I got as an employee, I got perks. I think it was either weekly or monthly. If you got the most in that week or month, they gave you something, or you got a percentage off buying something at the store. When somebody would sign up, let's say if I wanted to sign up for a credit card, I think it was 15 or 20% off your entire purchase, which was a big deal.
So something to keep in mind when someone is pushing a credit card, whether it's a regular credit card or a retail credit card, and they say it's the most amazing thing ever, et cetera, think about what they're getting out of it. I would say almost every time someone who is pushing a credit card gets a very lucrative incentive if you sign up. Whether they're an employee at a store or they're a friend of yours and you use their referral code, there's probably a reason they're pushing it. Not just because they think it's a great product, and maybe they genuinely do, but most of the time it's because they're getting a perk. Be wary of that and consider that in all aspects of life. What is someone's motivation? Next type of debt, house-related debt. This usually comes as a mortgage loan or a home equity line of credit. Then we have consumer loans. And this is a big one in America that is talked about quite often, even on the political forefront, because it includes student loans and personal loans. Let's get into the numbers a little bit more. We know on average, Americans have over $90,000 of debt. The median household income is $68,703. That was in 2019.
Same with the debt. The debt was also an average in 2019.
Something that's really interesting is we found some statistics breaking down average debt by age group. Let's start at the bottom with the Gen Z. And for those of you who might not be familiar with these different categories, honestly, I'm not sure I could tell you all of these if they weren't in my notes. Gen Z would roughly be people that are 18 to 23 years old right now. Their average debt is between $9,000 and $10,000.
Not terrible.
On the low end, you got to think people of this age group, graduating high school, maybe starting college, maybe picking up a little debt with some student loans, probably picking up a little debt with their first car purchase or second car purchase if they finance it. Probably some credit cards, first jobs.
But typically speaking, this age range is not given a lot of debt. If you're going to get a credit card, they won't give you here, have $1 million of limit on your credit card. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So naturally, they're not going to go into debt as deeply because they're too young.
Then we have millennials. We're millennials. Sorry. That's ages 24 through 39. Pretty big group. I think most people, including myself, used to think millennials was a bit younger than that. If you're 24 to 39, you're a millennial. That age group roughly $78,000 in debt. So that jumps up a huge amount. I think maybe one of the biggest reasons would be student loans. And then a lot of people in this category probably getting a mortgage or a loan for their first home.
Or a bigger car, that sort of thing.
Upgrading a car to the next level. Perhaps things have maybe gotten a little out of hand from some bad habits with credit cards and your regular revolving debt, as we talked about a few minutes ago. Next, we have Gen X, ages 40 to 55 right now. Continues to jump up. This is the peak of all age groups to $135,000 in debt.
Wow.
Really interesting. Why do you think it jumps from...
I think they
78
upgrade.
to 135.
I think they upgrade still. I think it's probably a mix of like upgrading house again. Maybe they have more kids, upgrading their car again because they potentially have more kids, or just a lifestyle change. They want more square footage. They want a different place, location, whatnot.
Okay, so you're saying that stage of life.
That's my guess. Yeah.
And that makes sense. You're probably buying that dream house if you haven't already, perhaps getting a little more debt from that, maybe getting that midlife crisis Harley or a little sport, your Tesla,
right,
whatever it might be. Next age group is baby boomers, age 56 to 74. Everything is the boomers' fault, if you didn't hear. I read it on the internet. And this is where it starts dropping. It goes down to $97,000 on average of debt.
And their age is 56 to 74.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And then lastly, we have the silent generation. I'm not sure why they're called that. Maybe I should look that up.
I think they're in between the baby boomers and the greatest generation. That's why they're the silent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's more or less ages 75 and up right now. And that drops way down to just about $41,000 of debt. So
it's interesting too. I'm a math nerd over here.
Okay.
So these numbers make a perfect bell curve.
I think these numbers match up more so with stages in life
Most
than
definitely.
with tendencies of actual generations. There might be a little correlation there. So we just went through all the numbers. Debt is a big part of your average American's life, regardless of what age group they're in. And it seems to increase and decrease depending on the stage of your life. But what's wrong with debt? Is it a bad thing? Because I think the mainstream thought is that you use debt to get what you want, or that you use debt to increase your net worth or quality of life. Why do we think that might not be the best thing?
We'll hit a plethora of reasons here, but I'd like to start out with a quote from Dave Ramsey. So, your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. This isn't to say that your goal in life, and your goal should never be in life, just to be the richest, the best, money lover. So, Dave Ramsey says your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. And he goes on to say, when all your income has other people's names on it, you have no money muscle. All of your income, your $3,000 a month, your $5,000 a month, your $10,000 a month, your so on so forth thousands of dollars a month coming in is going right out the door again to somebody else. Like, how can you build anything for you, your family, and your community around you, including giving to others and giving to organizations?
From what I've seen in my short lifetime, regardless of your religious beliefs, most everyone would say they care about others, relationships with others, helping others, as well as their legacy and what's left behind after you die, what others think of you, what impact you made. Not saying you can't make an impact and leave a good legacy without money, but you can create an even bigger impact by using money properly. And debt can really slow you down, is what Kelly's getting at there.
Yeah, most definitely. So somebody called in to the Dave Ramsey show and asked a question, how Dave would recommend a 25-year-old build wealth. Dave's answer was, as far as I'm concerned, it would be the same way as the people on the Forbes 400 build wealth. The Forbes 400 is a list of the 400 wealthiest people in America. When surveyed, 75% of them say the most important thing to do is to get out of debt and stay out. If you're getting your information and the knowledge you have and the habits you're building on finances from anybody who doesn't have self-control, does not have knowledge and wealth building skills, they're nobody. I don't want to learn how to build a rocket from a brain surgeon. They're a brain surgeon. They're not a rocket builder. So why not get your information from those who happen to be the wealthiest and they say to get out of debt?
Go to an expert.
Yeah.
If I wanted to learn how to play baseball, I don't really care to. I wouldn't go to the park downtown and find some kids playing baseball and ask them, how do you play baseball? No, I would find a professional, a coach, someone who's got experience, who's got a record of success. It's the same thing when it comes to financial advice and building wealth. Find someone that's successful and can prove that what they're doing has worked in their life and the lives of others. That's one of the reasons that we enjoy reading and listening to Dave Ramsey's content. He's got that proof to back it up, or at least we think he does.
The idea right now is to just do what everybody else is doing with their finances. Oh, everybody has a car payment, so I must get a car payment. Everybody has this payment, I must get a credit card. Everybody has this, everybody has that, I'll just do that. Well, clearly it's not working, as those averages that Josiah went over prove. So as Christians, we believe in the Bible. And it says in Proverbs 22:7, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. So what does this verse actually mean? Well, I'd say the rich rules over the poor. If you're thinking about it in debt, who do you get that loan from? The bank, the retail stores, etc., etc. How big are those buildings? How wealthy are those companies? They know that their tactics are working, so they rule over others with those psychological tactics of, you've got to have this. You've got to have the next best, greatest, this, that, and the other. So why not? Just get a loan. We'll cover it for you. No big deal. It's just a small payment. The slave to the lender. You are owned by the person or entity that gave you that loan. You now, just like we referenced before, every dollar that comes into your house is now labeled with somebody else's name, whether that be an actual person or an entity like the bank. And you're also at the mercy to do the things that they want you to do. So if they say you need to pay me this amount this time every month, you made a promise, you need to do that. Those are now things that you can't just like, oh, well, I can't scrape together the $50. They'll make you pay back that $50, probably and plus some, if you don't want to abide by or can't abide by the rules that they set.
Right. I think a lot of it boils down into your self-control. And if you're not aware of the difference between your needs and your wants, if you're not grateful for what you have, it can be real easy to pile on more and more debt. You see other people with their fancy cars, their big houses, their yachts, the Rolex, the Yeezys, whatever it might be, and you become envious. Naturally, we all do. I've fallen into that before. If you don't show self-control and understand what you can afford with your finances, then you'll end up causing more difficulty for yourself in the long run.
Most definitely.
If you want those bigger, flashier, whatever they might be, toys, there's nothing wrong with that. Find a way to earn them. Get a different job. Get a side hustle. Work a little harder. Get a promotion. Find those people that have them. Ask them, how did you earn that much money so that you could live the life that I think I desire? That's a much healthier way to approach it than borrowing money from someone in order to get what you want when it isn't something you can afford. Ultimately, having debt, regardless of the amount, keeps you from building your net worth. It really impacts it. And it keeps you also from sharing your wealth with others and giving. When the dollars coming into your bank account already are promised to someone else, you can't even use them for yourself. Hopefully, we've helped you understand our viewpoint on debt and why we think it's best to get out of debt and stay out of debt. But how do you do that? How do you get out of debt? We're big fans of Dave Ramsey, and his overarching goal in his financial products and programs is to get out of debt. He has a great method called the debt snowball that works really well for us. We'll link it down below so you can read through his steps and kind of get a better idea of what it is. But in general, what you do is you list all your debts from least to greatest by dollar amount. And then every month, always make the minimum payment on them.
For all of them.
That's key for all of them. But then with additional funds that you have, begin paying off the debts at the top of the list that have the least amount. This might seem counterintuitive, but it creates a psychological effect for you. When you start crossing debts off that list, it builds momentum and gives you greater motivation to finish.
Most definitely.
And to stay with the program. You can also check out Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. Covers a lot of great topics, including budgeting, savings, what are good savings, emergency funds, etc. There's a lot of great knowledge in there, and we certainly as a couple learned a lot through it. Over 6 million people have used this, and it's been very impactful on their financial journeys. They offer in-person classes. Highly recommend that, because then you have a deeper level of accountability than if you're walking through it on your own. Definitely helps you make it a priority when someone else is waiting on you at the class. Hopefully our opinions haven't come across too strong or hurt anyone's feelings. This is what has worked for us. This is what we think will work for you. Hope you'll consider it. In the next episode, we're going to dive into debt a little bit more with some misconceptions about credit scores, about financing cars, and about credit cards.
Yeah, to help motivate you to see, oh, wow, I really don't need debt. These things are really not necessary.
So thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of our financial series, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Bye.